Alan Armstrong is here in a Fox Business exclusive, and there is a reason for this. We'll get to that in a minute, but we've seen head fakes in the price of nat gas over the years. Is this that, or are we seeing the recent move that has legs?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on again. And I would just say that, you know, the thing that's really clear to us is that it is more and more production coming online, which was a response to high natural gas prices that we saw in the summer of 22. And as this industry is very capable of doing, gas production was brought up very rapidly. Demand actually has held in there very well, and demand is actually on the increase from both LNG exports as well as incremental power demand that continues to set new records, and we expect it to set another record this summer.
Let's get to power demand and that point that we were just making, that there is a reason, and the reason in great part, at least for future demand, may be these AI data centers. The data centers, Microsoft just announcing that it's going to build up one with the help of the U.S. government in Racine, Wisconsin, but they're popping up everywhere, and they use voluminous amounts of energy. Give me a sense of whether you've modeled for the future of all of this demand and what you see happening, because AI appears to be very much the thing to be talking about right now.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things coming together right now. They're not just growing natural gas demand, it's actually accelerating gas demand. Obviously, LNG has been the big story for the last couple of years, and that's pretty easy to predict because those are big facilities, long time permitting, and pretty clear when those will come online. There'll be delays and so forth, but that demand is pretty clear when that comes online. The power demand side is much harder to predict, and the AI demand that we've seen has really, you know, it's been out there, but it's been kind of consumed within the larger power demand picture. But now it is front and center, and right now a lot of the forecasts are calling for the current demand for data centers to actually go up by 2.5 to 3 times between now and the end of this decade in 2030. And just to kind of put that in perspective, that's if that were to occur, that would be somewhere around 6 to 7 BCF a day of incremental natural gas demand. And of course, you have to make some assumptions about how that power for that is going to be generated. But if about 60% of that was coming from natural gas generation, that would be the number. And so that's a big number on top of another 12 BCF a day of LNG exports, as well as incremental demand. We already signed up 3.1 BCF a day of incremental demand just on our Transco system, which is the nation's largest pipeline, and that construction is underway. So this new development and new focus on AI is in addition to that. So a lot going on in the natural gas pipeline capacity space right now. And it's very important because we're there to back up renewables as well. And so as renewables come on, the utilities are obviously having to put in backup generation for that, and that requires a lot of pipeline capacity to back up that natural gas generation.
You know, you've referenced BCFs. For our viewers who don't know what that is, it's the unit billion cubic feet that they deal with in natural gas. But to this point about the data centers, and I don't mean this to be a softball, but it kind of is. Does this demand, which is going to be so strong to run these things, by the way, I mean, Generac CEO had been on our show, and he had said that a single ChatGPT inquiry uses 17 times as much energy as a basic Google search. So there is not enough of renewable energy, is there, to power all of that in the future? And therefore, here comes the softball part. Does it really look like not a very smart thing to try and force people to stop using natural gas? Because it is cleaner than most fossil fuels. Wouldn't we want to use that?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. If you start to look at the ISOs and some of the big utility commissions now, they're putting out numbers that say, here's how green our grid will become with data centers and without data centers, because they realize that there's really no way to keep up with the demand for data centers with renewable power at the pace that we're going right now. And so we don't look at that and say yay for natural gas on that necessarily, frankly, because actually natural gas and renewables are a really nice partnership to reduce emissions around our country, with natural gas being 2.5 times lower CO2 emissions than the coal-fired generation that we continue to run. I think an even bigger question for us right now is, will we actually be able to retire the coal capacity if this power demand continues to increase? Will we really be able to take a lot of the coal fleet out? Because clearly we'll be building a lot of natural gas, but it's very clear to us right now that we're a long ways from being able to keep up with the growth in demand with renewable power. Natural gas is going to play an incredibly important role here in the U.S. for keeping our prices of electricity down, as well as having reliable power and reducing emissions across the footprint as we take out more and more coal-fired generation.
Alan, it is going to take a long time, but nothing wrong with aiming for a cleaner planet. But that said, let's not just eliminate things that are helping us and helping the new form of job creation, which is AI. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.